Hi, my name is Kelvin Johnson. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create a compliance policy in Microsoft Intune Azure. So what is a compliance policy? A compliance policy is a policy that your devices must actually meet before should be considered compliant. So when you set up some rules in Microsoft Intune Azure and you, a device registered on your enterprise environment or your working environment, and the device does not meet these rules you created, the device will be considered non-compliant. And you can also set up rules to block this device from accessing or logging in to your enterprise environment. So how do you create a compliance policy? So first of all, you need to log on to portal.azure.com to Microsoft Azure. And here you just go to Microsoft Intune, and if you click Microsoft Intune, a new browser will be opened. So you can see we have the Microsoft 365 Device Management, or simply called MDM. So click Device Compliance, and here you have the policies. So you have the device compliance. So click Policies. As you can see, we have already created some few policies. So we are going to create a new policy. So just click Create. And let's enter a name for this policy. I'm going to call it, let me say, privacy dot compliance. Call it policy. Then it's for Windows 10. So I'm actually giving a specification for Windows 10 because you can actually create policy for different um, devices like Android, iOS, and every other device. So for example, on the platform, you can see which devices you can create you can create the compliance policy for. So we have the Android, we have iOS, Mac OS, we have Windows Phone 8.1, and we also have Windows 10 and later. But for now, we are more interested in Windows 10 and later. So so I think the settings is actually the most important rules we need to configure for a device to meet the compliance policy. So click Device Health. So on a device health, we can decide to say, okay, before a device is considered compliance, the device must have BitLocker on that computer. So what is BitLocker? BitLocker is actually a kind of a security platform whereby when you is being used to encrypt your data on in an operating system. So when I say require, so anytime someone decided to register his device to Microsoft Intune Azure, it's going to first of all check if if BitLocker is configured or enabled on that computer. So you say require secure boot to be enabled on this device. So the required enables boot is actually configured. It's being pre-configured if you are using UEFI boot. So you can configure a secure boot, which of course uses a kind of a cryptographic signature to ensure that the device is from a trusted that the device from trusted organization, and that the manufacturer that manufactured the device has the a secured signature on it. So we can also say require, but for now I'm just going to leave it not configured. And also you can also say required integrity code. So for now I'm not going to actually enable the require code integrity and the secure boot, because if you enable if you are trying to enable this feature, and you should make sure that these are pre-configured on your computer before you start enabling these things. If not, you have a lot of computers which are not compliant. So we now go to just click OK, and you can see I have one of three settings configured. So let's go to device properties. So on our device properties, we can set, so okay, what is the minimum OS version that a device should have before the device is considered compliant? So what I think the best way to actually look, for example, I'm using Windows 10 Professional, so I can just go to the command prompt here. If I type this, as you can see, it's going to give me the version which I should put on my minimum version of Windows operating system I'm using. So let me just go here, and I can say, okay, just want to tap. Let me cancel this, and I just copy a date and mark, and like I decide to say, let me just copy this and enter, and I can say the minimum version is this version of Windows. And you can also do the same for the maximum version. If, for example, I'm using Windows 10 professional version 1607, so you have to check for the, you can go to the website of Microsoft and check which version is that, and just paste it there, and then you can see the maximum version is, for example, 1803. You can also check for the version. So I'm going to leave it actually with the minimum version, which is this, and I can also decide to do this, check it like this by starting the command, the run from my computer, and then enter win ver, and then just here you can see I'm using version 1803, and the build is 17134.706. So I'm going to leave it at this minimum version. So which means when a device try to register, and someone tries to register this device with Microsoft Intune Azure, and the device does not meet this minimum version, is going to be considered non-compliant. So we also have minimum OS version for mobile devices, but we are doing this for Windows 10, so I'm not going to actually configure this version. So let's then you click OK. So now let's go to configuration manager. So configuration manager compliance is actually it's only if, for example, you are using you are using an hybrid environment. For example, you have SCCM, a system center configuration manager, and in combination with Microsoft Intune, then you can actually configure this. But for now, I'm just using Microsoft Intune as a standalone. I'm not using it in a hybrid environment. So I'm just going to go to system security. So under system security, you have the opportunity to actually kind of secure your device by saying that require a password to unlock mobile device. I'm going to leave this as not configured, but at the same time, we can also say that okay, no, I'm going to put required, so that a device is before a device is being unlocked, so the person needs to enter the password. But I can say, okay, I should block simple password, that someone should not enter a simple password, or I can leave it as not configured. Someone can decide to choose if he or she should enter a simple password. So we can also decide to choose the password type like alphanumeric or numeric. I can say what is the length of the password should be like minimum of 6, and the maximum, I can also say the maximum minutes of inactive before password is required. You can also put it to like 1 hour. And password expiration days, I can also say, for example, let's put like 90 days. So every 90 days, the person will be required to change his password. So, and also the number of previous password to prevent reuse, let me just put like 5. So what happens is if someone tries to put a password that he has used in the past, the 5 previous password is going to say no, that is not valid. You need to enter a new password. So for encryption, we can also decide to say, okay, encryption of data storage, but it's advisable to use like the BitLocker with what we did in the device health. So if you want to encrypt your data. Under device security, we can as well say, okay, a device will be compliant if the device has a firewall is enabled, if there's an antivirus on the computer. We are talking of antivirus like RVJ, Symantec, or Windows Defender. If there's anti-spyware on the computer, the same also applies. We have like Windows Defender, RVJ, or Symantec. And also, we can also say Windows Defender anti-malware. We can also decide to actually put require, but I'm going to leave this one as not configured. So click OK. Okay, the last one is actually the Windows Defender ATP. So here we have the different options. So it said that require the device to be at or under the machine risk score. So you see, set the maximum allowed machine risk score for device evaluated by Windows Defender. So if, for example, you have different options: clear, low, medium, high. So clear is actually the highest. So if you set it to clear, so which means if the device receive any threat on its computer, it will be considered non-compliance. But if you put it to high, which you would think is the most highest, which means this is actually the lowest. So if I put this required device to be at under the machine risk to high, it's actually the less secure, and it allows actually when a device receives any threat level, it's still consider that device to be compliance. So I'm just going to leave it at medium and click OK, and I'll click OK again. So then I'll click action for non-compliance. So action for non-compliance, so we have an option to add. So here you have two options. You have the option to send an email to the end user, or you can actually remotely lock the non-compliance device. So send an email to the end user. You can send an email to the end user to say, okay, hey, your device is not compliance. So please, you just kind of inform him, and you say, okay, you can also schedule a message, like I've already created a notification. You can create a notification message and says, okay, if the device is not compliant, this is the message that will be sent to the user. So I can add recipient. I can select the group of people who's going to receive an email and say, okay, a device is not compliant, please contact the user, or you can also as well add the specific users to the group and then send an email to the user. So you say, okay, how many scheduled days after non-compliance? So how many days should the device be considered not compliant before an action is being taken? So we can also schedule the days. But I'm going to actually just put remotely lock the non-compliance device. So remotely lock the non-compliant device, I can say, okay, I will give the user 5 days to actually make his computer compliant before his computer is remotely locked. So if the user did not do anything after like 5 days, his computer will be locked. So click add, click OK, and then click create. So now we've created a policy, and here you can see the policy has been created, but it has not been assigned. So we can decide to assign this policy to a specific group. I can decide to say, okay, you can assign it to all users, or you can assign it to a selected group. So what happens if you assign it to all users, which means every single user that log on to a registered computer on to Microsoft Intune Azure is good. This policy is going to affect that user. But we can also decide to choose a selected groups, and okay, just add it to a selected group. So let me just, for example, just for this, just to give an example, let me just add this to okay, previous TLS computer, and just click select, and then click save. So now every user in that group, which of course when they register their device and the user belongs to that group, this policy is going to affect that user. So this is how you create a device compliance policy in Microsoft Intune Azure, or MDM. So please, thank you very much for watching my video, and if you think this video has been a great help to you, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, or just leave a comment and give me a thumb for taking my time to create this video, and I appreciate you a lot. So if you also have any question concerning Microsoft Intune Azure or Microsoft Device Management Office 365 Admin Center, you can always send me an email. So I'll be very happy to reply to your message and answer your question. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next time. Bye.